Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm doing like endless, lots of recording and uploading. So you might be a little bombarded. I apologize. I hope you all enjoy it. If you do, please like, subscribe, share. I recently created a buy me a coffee account. So if you're wanting to support the channel between now and me getting monetized, then that would be amazing. No pressure. You absolutely don't have to. I'll be happy with subscriptions and likes and shares. And on this particular video, I wanted to talk about a Reddit post that has been going around a little bit that I had stumbled across from another YouTube channel that's also just getting started. And I'm going to go ahead and share just like a snippet from the start, but I'll go ahead and read the Reddit thread after and give you my opinion on it. But the channel that I'm referring to, let me go ahead and just remove. Okay. Okay, so this is the channel I was referring to. It's called American Discourse News. Again, she's just starting out as well, so I would highly suggest going to give her a subscribe as well. But she is the one who had found this Reddit post, and it's where I saw it. So I did go ahead. She posted the Reddit post link in her description for the video. So I clicked on it here, and I'm going to go ahead and get that pulled up so that I can read it for you right here. Okay. So this is the post. The account is Agreeable Wealth 812. I did go to the account. I don't use Reddit a lot, so maybe I'm just old and don't really understand it, but I didn't see any other posts. But maybe you have to go into this r/complaints thing to see. I don't know. You'd think if you go on their account, you could see it. So I'm not sure about that. But this Reddit post says, my best friend was actually a caregiver for some relatives in Charlie Kirk's family. Everything you heard about him is true, and worse, he wasn't even an active father. What I'd like to preface this with is it's not incredibly clear what she's claiming in the way of like the care that was provided by her friend. And it also is a bit of I feel like it twists things around quite a bit. And if you continue to scroll through all of the comments and whatnot that are under this post, so much of it is like ripping on people because they're like Christian. Listen, I don't consider myself a religious person necessarily. I have nothing against people who are religious. I always say you can be whatever religion you want. I personally believe that being religious means it's going to be improving your life and hopefully improving the people you surround yourself with lives as well. And if it's gotten to a point where it's not doing that for you, then it's probably not doing what it's supposed to be doing. And so I don't like when people shit on other people for their religious standpoint. I don't agree with it. And so it does create a sort of vibe from this whole thread where it's just a lot of people who want there to be a bunch of crap about Charlie Kirk or Erika Kirk or anything, right? And now I certainly have shown suspicion about Erika Kirk. I think there's a lot of things that are particularly suspicious about Erika Kirk, especially when you dig into like her past and the connections she has from even just well before she was ever with Charlie Kirk. And I also am capable of recognizing that a lot of times, and I actually had mentioned it on a live, I figured I might maybe I'll tack it on the end of this, but I had actually done some research into other murders throughout the course of history where a spouse was deemed to have been the initiator for the murder itself. However, they were either confirmed to have been somewhere completely different at the time, or, they hired someone else to do it, whatever. And I only bring that up because of the fact that I believe that one of the biggest reasons why this has gone in the direction of people being so against anyone looking into the possibility of a connection with Erika Kirk and what happened, because of the fact that at least we've been told, I believe she wasn't present at the time. But the reality is no one saw who did what. No one knows for sure what took place prior to Charlie Kirk's assassination. And so to blindly state that she absolutely had no hand in anything is just naive. I mean, if you consider it from the standpoint of a real investigation into a real crime, this was obviously a real crime. And also, in the research I had done, out of, I think it was something like 15, there's far more than 15, but obviously, there's only so many you can get information on quickly. Out of, I think it was 15 of these crimes, these murders that took place where the spouse was deemed to have been involved in some capacity, whether it was paying someone or, convincing someone to do it on their behalf. Think like Pam Smart. Out of those 15 that I had made a list of, 10 of them were women who had conspired to murder their husbands. And out of those 10 that were women conspiring to murder their husbands, I would say about 75% of them were for the purpose of like some kind of financial gain, whether it was insurance or property or just power in general. And so that is why there are so many people who are concerned about the possible involvement, because there is a lot of money. There's a lot of money being made by TPUSA. I think they've determined upwards of $140 million so far since Charlie Kirk's death that TPUSA has profited from, let alone a very, very large life insurance policy as well that Charlie Kirk had. So if you were to take out, these two people from the scenario and you were to change the scenario to something else, right? Like spouse was on a trip somewhere else and other spouse was murdered in their home, whatever. I do believe that people would be looking at this very, very differently. I think that the only reason they're not is because of who Charlie was and the scenario in which everything took place. So I'm done on my rant there, but yeah, so I'm going to read this. It rubs me the wrong way. I'll be upfront. I don't think that this is much of anything, but I wanted to cover it because it could be something that does end up going viral. And I just think that it's important to point out inconsistencies. But this person says, I wanted to make this post after, oh, did I reshare? Sorry, hold on. Okay. This person says, I wanted to make this post after all of the hype and money profiting off of his death subsided. A lot of people took sides because his death was pretty dramatic, sure. But if you're actively interacted with his family, there's going to be typos, guys. So you'd know that he was legitimately not a good father. And it pisses me off personally to see how much the family profited off his death. Huge rant incoming. Dude's family is actively rotten to the core, and Kirk played a huge part in it. My best friend was a caregiver in Arizona and met Kirk's family through the mother-in-law. She can tell you for a fact that he was barely home, which shouldn't surprise anyone. The kids barely got to know their dad. The whole reason they've been in the spotlight of Turning Point USA post-shooting, but you've literally never heard of them beforehand, is so they could make money off merch. See, so this is like one of the like obviously Charlie Kirk was running a massive company, and there are a lot of well-intended and good fathers that work their asses off to support their family. And a lot of times it's just how my husband is an amazing father, and he's an amazing provider, and he works his ass off. He works 6 days a week, and he's gone from 4 a.m. until almost 6 p.m. every day. And if he wasn't doing that, we would be screwed. We would financially not get by. And so to kind of shit on a dad because he's working a lot to support his family. And granted, yes, he made a lot of money, but he made a lot of money because he worked his ass off. And, he had a large company that he was running. And once you're in that position, you kind of, what are you going to do? You walk away when you're ready to retire, maybe, sure. But to call someone a bad father, and essentially if you listen to all of this, you'll see that essentially that's the whole reason she's claiming he was a bad father, was because he was not around a lot because he was working. So dick move, if you ask me. Kirk wasn't a family man because he spent all of his time traveling and rage baiting college students. See, here's your personal opinion being put in here about something, my friend / caregiver literally never met him. So she never even met him. So talking shit about someone she never met and acting like she has inside knowledge about who he was as a person, but you never met him, is ridiculous. So, but if you have half a brain, you should know that. He was never home and was constantly on business, but he literally didn't need to. I mean, it was his company. So he could have just run his dumb podcast. When people do this, when they speak in a way where they have to like insert stupid comments like dumb podcast instead of just podcast, it's just screaming, this is my biased opinion and I'm fancying up the information I got so that I can spread more information to push people in a direction I want them to go. It just seems ridiculous to me. But anyway, I'm going to move on to the next. Oh, it says he could barely tolerate his trophy wife and mother-in-law. Now, someone else had mentioned previously that apparently Erika had stated that her mother and Charlie got along really great. So whatever. Speaking of which, when my friend wishes she was joking. The mother-in-law in specific was quite literally the rudest person you can imagine. She hasn't met a more nasty person since. Her name is Lori Frantzve, if you want to look her up. You'll get Erika Kirk's maiden name. My friend stopped taking care of Lori because her husband was seriously creepy. Like he walked in on her while she was using the bathroom when the door was locked, and he knew she was using the bathroom. My friend was too scared to keep working there after that incident and quit for her own safety. I have no idea what she's claiming she was being a caregiver for. I don't know if Erika's mom supposedly had surgery. It sounds like she's like a caregiver nurse, like one that would help out for a period of time. I don't believe. I couldn't find any information that Lori Frantzve had like any kind of like dementia or any kind of like permanent disability that she needed, someone to be there as a caregiver. I have gone through a lot of Erika's Instagram highlight reels. I've seen, videos where she's out and about with her mother, who's clearly capable of, physically doing things on her own. So I imagine this was like a temporary job of some sort. She doesn't specify though, because that would be, important information. They had 3 super crusty dogs that they treated horribly. They'd constantly yell at them, and when they didn't feel like dealing with them, they'd throw them outside in the Arizona heat to limp in the shade, which only added to the worst smell imaginable. They'd just tie them up with no water for the entire day until someone felt bothered to bring them in. Obviously, I have no idea if any of that's true. I also, again, so is this, she kind of blends things together here where it almost makes it sound like she's talking, because she's inserted so much personal opinion about like Charlie Kirk, but clearly her friend supposedly worked for Erika's mother. And the vagueness makes you question whether she's talking about Erika and Charlie or Erika's mother and like her husband. I'm assuming she's talking about Erika's mother, so I have no idea about her pets. I've seen videos of Erika in the past with her pets. She seems to treat them fine. Of course, it's just video from Instagram. You're going to post whatever you want people to see, so obviously that's only one side of it. But for some reason, the mother-in-law was hyper obsessed with Charlie's podcast. So she didn't like him, but she was obsessed with his podcast. Okay. She would watch him every day at 11 and regurgitate the worst parts of it like it was the Bible. So she's contradicting herself a lot here. My friend visited their apartment only once. I assume she's talking about Erika and Charlie. When Lori was visiting Erika, and the entire place looked like it was hit by a tornado. Hi to parenthood, motherhood, whatever, fill in the blank. Unopened Amazon packages everywhere, and children drew with crayons all over the wall because no one was taking care of them, and Charlie wasn't home to be an actual father and tell them what's right and wrong. This is just opinion. She's inserting her own opinion, and it's kind of shit. If anybody here has, anybody watching has kids, without a doubt that they are quick. Those kids are quick. Writing on walls, yeah, that's happened in my house. Does my house always look neat and tidy? Absolutely not. Sometimes it drives me completely crazy. And, the reality is I would never walk into a friend's house, especially one that's a parent that's juggling, maybe, yes, being home with their kids more often without their spouse because they're out working. I would never walk into their house and judge them for it being messy, because anybody who's been a parent knows that it's a real work to keep up with a house. And she obviously, in defense of Erika, she did have other businesses and things she was obviously also juggling as well. So it's just like crap to shit on a parent when, when kids are kids and life is life and shit happens, and you're not always on top of things. So this just kind of pisses me off, to be honest. Okay. Erika expected my friend to take care of her baby, but my friend kept having to shut her down and say she's there to take care of Lori and has no idea how to take care of a baby. Why would you? First of all, I mean, yes, if you have a job and you're there to take care of, a particular individual, obviously. But if you're there in like the capacity of a caregiver to say you don't know how to take care of a baby is like, what? I'm sorry, excuse me? Their family was as dysfunctional and horrible as you can imagine. She didn't actually sign any NDA, so she doesn't give a fuck and will throw shit away their way whenever she gets the chance. Okay. So, all right. I think that I've obviously made it clear how I feel about this particular post. I think it's someone who was already hating on these particular people and felt like they had an opportunity. Whether or not any of it's true, couldn't even tell you. But what I can tell you is that the information provided in no way really sheds any light on anything that's truthful or realistic about any family, insert whoever you want, because the reality is if you've been there one time, you know nothing about the family or the inner workings of their home. So you really can't say anything about that. But yeah, I do think that this is probably something that is going to get some traction at some point. And I figured I would cover it and be as honest as I could about it, because that's what this is about. I'm not here trying to pinpoint something on a particular person. I am simply trying to piece together information as it comes and stay as neutral as I can, because I personally do not trust our FBI. I don't trust the Utah Police Department investigating the Charlie Kirk murder. I don't believe that there was not much bigger powers behind what happened. And because of that, I think that it requires people coming together to share information and hopefully provide enough that they don't get away with hiring a patsy and pawning off this whole thing on someone else. That's what this is about for me. So I know that I've had people come in the comments and act like I'm attacking, Erika Kirk, this widow. The reality is, unfortunately, when things like this happen, family members are not excluded. You don't get to claim that you just have nothing to do with it because you were their family member and you loved them. It's just not how it works. And with so much information coming out about Erika's past and her family's connections and just so many things, and TPUSA and the sketchy things going on with that business, there is way too much to just brush it under the rug because you feel bad. It's uncomfortable. I get it, but it's the reality. So that's it for this episode. I think what I'll maybe what I'll do for like the list of other the list of those murders and whatnot that I was referring to at the beginning, maybe what I'll do is make a list and create like a post. I haven't actually done any like community post on YouTube, so maybe I'll do something like that, listing all that out and go from there. But that's it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoy. If you did, please subscribe, like, share, and I'll see you all again very soon. Thank you. Bye.